Good morning. Sleep Oden here, and I am a blogger at Loving Life with Lee and the TubeBuddy program. So this morning I wanted to tell a story because I've been working on some blog posts, and I was gonna write this story out, but I felt like maybe it was just one that I could tell you guys instead, which goes back to the very, very beginning of this healing journey. And people like Vicky can attest to this, right? So the very beginning of this journey, I went through a short phase of time there where I felt really overwhelmed with all the different roles that I play throughout the day. And this, I think, really comes up with me just being a mom, but being a mom, being a wife, being a friend, being a daughter, being a sister, being a this, being a best friend, being a being a helper, being a server, being a mom figure to my group of friends I do, just all the things that I do during a day. And inside, you have a lot of different characters inside. One part of your personality tells you to do this, the other tells you to do this, and together these two make sense. Well, we all have these kind of inner characters, and for me, at least for the last several years, I haven't been a very visual in my mind type of person. That's recently changed. And I think a lot of that has to, I can attribute those kind of visual changes and some of this kind of outburst of emotion and a lot of the change that I'm going through to this story. So the very, very beginning, when I started to kind of want to deal with my biggest faults, or what I felt were my biggest faults and underlying problems throughout my, my life, and just things that were holding me back. But I also was interested in trying to bond with my mom because we've been apart for so long. And so I went to my mom, I know that you're interested in this emotional stuff, this energy stuff, I am, help me. Because I don't know how to energy test. I don't know how to, nail down essential oils. I don't know how to, I know the way that they work, and I know the science behind emotions, and I know the science behind, how the energy systems, but I don't know how to, go about the identification of, how to help yourself. And so she sat me down, and we kind of did the basics of that, releasing emotional patterns with essential oils. That's the book. And she actually had it already sitting on her bed. She's like, I was struggling with how to, because my mom's kind of a timid, and I'm kind of an outburst. So we have very different personality types. So she was like, I was trying to think of a way to how to bring up that I want to help you, but yeah. So she already had it sitting out on her bed. So we got up there. I was like, sweet, great. So we opened up the book and we started doing it kind of by the book. But I also realized later on in that process of trying to narrow down the emotions that I wanted to release. What are my physical patterns? Where is my physical weaknesses? Because the book goes about, what your kind of temperament and personality and stuff is, and how that relates to your organs and systems. And then it kind of guesses for you. This is kind of the ones that to narrow it down, what the ones, there's a process to identify for you what emotion to deal with. So we did that process, but then later on, when it got to the charts that I showed you of the charts of the actual physical body and where the points are, so I had neck pain at that point, right at the very, very top of my neck. And I had gone to chiro and already realized that that part of my spine that's supposed to be curved at the neck here, is actually is really straight. It's the worst part of my whole neck. So I looked on the chart and I found out what those were. So throughout this whole big list of emotions that I came down to, the ones that repeated in these different ways, and the ones that I self-identified too, were lying, so lies, control, and I didn't even know this was an emotion, but it is technically an emotion in emotion books, and I've seen it multiple times in multiple of my emotion books like this. Fuck you. So excuse my language, but actually I'm using this term fuck you for the length of this video as an emotional term. Not as a statement, not as a judgment, but it goes to say that at least in America, this term, this put down, is used enough that it actually has we have an emotion of fuck you. Okay, anyways. I was surprised, but it showed up, and I wouldn't even have dealt with this if it hadn't shown up on every single result. It was, FU was the most repeating of all of this. So And that really confused me. Like the whole time I was like, why does this keep coming up? Like, I don't even understand, Mom. What the heck? So I told her a little bit about my story and like what I had been dealing with. You know, I'm old enough to like tell my teenage story to my mom. And vice versa. You know? Like we have some things in common. Okay, so the 3. Lies, control, and F you. The one that I tracked down within my neck was lies, just by the way. Control and F you were the 2 that we identified with the book's help. So at the end of this book, it gives you kind of a script. And my mom has done research on this before, so she actually had her own kind of like version of the script that we use instead. So we wrote out the script with the book's help, the way, the phrase that helps you, release it out into the world, and also like the alters of those words. So we wrote out a little script, and it really does help at this point that she knew the essential oils. She had a whole bunch of essential oils. So we tracked down the essential oils. We wrote down the script. We sat down, and I sat down, and she one by one read the script that I had wrote for each one of them. I was good with the lies. I was very stable of just in confidence, and my intuition was high. My will to like change and to heal was open. I'd already kind of done the kind of forgiveness prayer a couple of days ago of just like really forgiving myself for what I've done and really wanting to own it and heal it and like move on. It was a couple days before this. So like I was really in a set to make personal change. And so I did good with the lies. I felt really good at that. Like the essential oil process and all of that. I encourage you to get the books. I encourage you to read my blog. There's a lot more about I'll be revealing a lot more about this. There's a lot more resources on there. Anyone can do this. It's super easy. I think this whole process took like half an hour to an hour of sitting down with my mom and just figuring out the emotion and doing the script and finding the oils and da-da-da. So for each one, we used a separate script and essential oil. So it was a little bit of a process. And by the time, so we went through lies, went through control, I was feeling great. We got to F you, and dude, as I was doing that script, I bawled so hard. It all just like everything. And that was like the one emotion, like the lies, like that's all fine. Like I'm still kind of dealing with like that the guilt of lies that I've told in the past. And I've done my research. I'll come out with more of that at some point. It really comes down to, and then the control. And I've come to learn a lot more about myself in that regard as well. I have a fear of being controlled. It comes back to some childhood things, and it comes back to some teenage things, and it comes down to some current things. I do not like being controlled, and I am, I've been overly controlling myself and different personalities to the point of suppressed emotions. And that's why I've gone through this process so much with suppressed emotions, because that's what I was lying to myself about. So you see how these 2 are connected. The lies and the control, which are the 2 that, that one that I self-identified and one that I found in the book, really meshed together to you can tell that my younger self, like my life has led me to a point where I've lied to myself to control myself, to not be controlled, at least set myself up for this illusion that I was in control of my own life, which I have not been at all, right? So these 2, I think, really just went hand in hand, and it felt like it at this time when I was releasing them, especially with the essential oils and stuff. It was a powerful moment. And it was an inside, like, mental, emotional, powerful moment. But when I got to the FU, like I had stated, like, the whole time I was doing this, I was like, what is that about? What is that about? Where is that coming from? I don't even know what that means. How is that emotion? What the heck? I was just questioning it the whole time. And then it got to the point of releasing it with the essential oil, and I broke down. And I think where this comes from is just that feeling that I've been neglecting myself, and kind of under the illusion that helping other people was helping me, and just overly sacrificed myself for my husband, overly sacrificed myself for some particular friends, for my family, for my in-law family, and just really over trying to help them and not being able to. And I've been told fuck you a lot. And it's mostly by the people that I was trying to help. and who somehow came back and was just like, no, fuck you for your help. Like, okay. Like, it seems to happen this way over and over and over again. On the other side, I have also, and this took me a while to realize, but I think this is a bigger part of it too. Like, the other part of it is you kind of say, I've said to myself, my inner voices, like my whole problem with my inner world is that temptation to go, no, fuck you, angel on my shoulder. No, fuck you, devil on my shoulder. No, fuck you. Like, I don't want to listen to myself. I don't want to pay attention to myself. I don't want to deal with my emotions. I don't want to deal with, my past. I don't want to deal with my day-to-day life. I don't, and you just go about life, at least in my type, like you just go about life kind of trying to serve other people in that effect that you don't ever serve yourself. So a lot of this just comes down to that realization of like all these major problems that I had with my emotions that I helped nail down with my mom, not only opened the door, like I've talked to my mom about a lot more about my childhood and been able to figure out these issues with her help from my childhood. But in the long run, it's really a self-identified process, and it's an individual process. So just again, I'm really pushing these resources because they're super cheap. You can do it yourself, and like anyone can heal from their stuff. And like a lot of us has unrolled in this journey because of me sitting down at those moments, because of me working with essential oils and smell and emotionally, my intentions, my will, my drive to actually go out there and try and, mend some of the things that I've done and some of the people that I've said, terrible things to, or done bad things to, and like vice versa too. I'm not always the victim. So like, anyways, it's just, that's the story of what this emotional process really started as. And I've been able to continue that. I've been able to nail down different emotions. I've had a lot of heart wound, heartache type of stuff, deal with loss, grief, that kind of stuff. And that's always chest stuff. It comes down to like flippy floppy heart feelings and wacky energy. And so anyways, just continuing on right now, I'm really focusing on my sacral area and I'm gearing up for that post. And it's actually been really in-depth, really interesting, really along the terms of like oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So stay on the blog, guys. Right now I'm kind of moving up the chakra ladder, but I'm also still dealing with this emotional stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out there and explain, those three were like the key ones. And it comes down to that book. So it's in the description. Check out my blog if you're curious about more of like this type of stuff. And follow my Facebook page and this channel, and I'd really appreciate it. Lots of change, lots of good stuff coming up. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.